crap! I got to take this off first, man. Hey, Dave. Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast. I would do the whole show with this on, but I can't drink, and
You sound a little muffled.
yeah, sound a little muffled. So let me take this off. But I'm still wearing the crown.
Yes. You're
I
still a
don't know.
loser.
I don't know what else to say at this point.
You're the only one left.
Your bell curve is in perfect tag. You know what I mean? We got one 4-0 team, one 0-4 team.
Yeah.
And then what do we got? Like we got some 3-1 teams.
Yep. Some 3-1s, some 2-2s, some 1-3s, and
yeah.
You.
And down at the bottom.
Yeah.
But
heartbreaking just to watch that game, right?
Oh, the missed field, and I could feel it coming too. I was just like, his heart's not in it. It's not what they wanted. They wanted a touchdown there, right? You know, that didn't
even
really.
At that point, you didn't know that it would stick. Like, even if he kicked the field goal, then you had to watch Herbert get the ball back. But then knowing that he ended up not doing anything.
Yeah.
Those last few possessions.
Well, and like everything, I mean, I'm sure it's what it felt like when you were watching Kurt Warner.
Yes.
It was just like it was trending bad from the beginning.
See, I thought I had a good shot. I only needed 20 points. The first 3 weeks, Williams and Waller had combined for plenty of points. The 20 is all I needed, and they got that the first 3 weeks together. I didn't mention that because I didn't want to jinx it, but, you know, it happened anyway. Waller scored, and I thought, all right, now we're on to something. But he missed Williams on a long pass, and that would have been like 6 points right there. So it was a maybe 4 or 5 points anyway. But Ryan was due.
It's hard for me to blame it on my kicker when my quarterback play has been so terrible every week.
That is, yeah. I've mentioned that a couple of times. I don't know if you've noticed.
Well, you know, at the week 1, I said I had a regret. You said, "Oh, is it Barkley?" And I said, "No, I should have taken a quarterback a couple rounds earlier, a round earlier." And you were like, "Oh, no, I would have not taken Barkley." Barkley's fine. I mean, he's not. Barkley's fine.
He is now.
I probably should have taken a quarterback a round earlier, and felt like I just had one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I could I have taken Carr at that point probably.
Yeah, I think Lee waited until round 74 before he took Carr.
Yeah. So.
And every week there's been a couple guys on the waiver wire that would have scored better than you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've started 4 different quarterbacks, and all 4 of them have done terrible, and ones that I haven't started have done fine. So.
Yeah. So.
That's.
But anyway, glad to be back.
Yeah.
Sorry I missed last week.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back.
Appreciated what you put on there. That's good to see. So.
No, it was last having Junior, the OG, on with us. It was fun we went down memory lane, and we got a lot more old stories that we need to get some guests on to talk about. You know,
people need to hear that don't know about some of that stuff.
We can book Keith for a night and then have him talk about his version of Holtgate. That would be fun because there's guys in the league that have no idea what we're talking about. But we don't want to tease it out too much. We don't want to give it away. We got to save it. It's a whole story to tell.
I haven't talked to any of those guys in forever, but if you could get a Wheat on, remember the Wheat years where a couple of them, they would fight over which Raiders they picked.
They're all back living in the area. So Mike coaches Jack's football team, and then Dan is back in town, just moved back in town, him and his wife. So they're in the area. I just saw him a couple weeks ago. So yeah, there's no way they're coming on because they've given up all technology. But yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So no. I'm sure they are happy to see the Raiders at 3-1 though.
Yeah. Yeah, they love picking Raiders. You could almost chalk it, like I almost knew, oh, Wheat's coming. Which Raiders it going to be?
Yeah. I mean, like they were Ed before Ed, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So, All right, well, we'll jump right into our weekly awards. I'm going to give out my Hillbilly, and it's with a lot of enthusiasm because I don't get this opportunity very often. All right, that we're going to give our Hillbilly of the week.
This is Farmer Ed, and here's your Hillbilly of the Week.
To Adam Russell.
Yeah.
Now, normally, he would be in the running for like Team of the Week, right?
Yeah,
like
a lot of times.
winning games, high points. You know what I mean? But he goes up against Rennie. Rennie was calling him out the whole time, and he puts up a big 69er on Rennie. So one for irony and two for losing. Adam gets Hillbilly of the Week because he just never finds himself in this situation. And as somebody who's 0-4, I love seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this off air that this might be our only shot to give it to him.
Yeah, and you
for
said
laying a 69 on Rennie. I just wanted to say, that phrase. I don't get that chance to say somebody laid a 69 on Rennie very often. No. Probably happens more than I know about, but it's usually not with Adam.
Yeah, not with Adam. And go read the write-up if anybody's watching this, haven't read it. You talked about the fact that Adam is probably he's probably going all what do you think, like Trent Dilfer on his team right now?
He is. And I love it. It's usually once a season, sometimes 2 or 3 times, where a whole slew of guys get benched for the week. We don't know who he's going to play.
Yep.
And yet, I think right now there's like several spots missing, and yet his, with those spots missing, his projected total is about what he scored this week with everybody. So
Adam,
he's right on pace.
On your Hillbilly of the Week. Your prize is in the mail, and look for that coming to your house. And so, all right. So you weren't here last week to give it out. We gave it to Danny last week, but you got a Miller Time Team of the Week.
Yeah, and I did watch the podcast, but yet I brought up Danny, and you're like, oh, well, Danny got it last week. So not that we can't give it 2 weeks in a row, but
a lot of we talked about that. There's a lot of deserving teams. A lot of teams like stepped up and had we got had some high scoring. There's like 3 or 4 teams that really scored well.
Either Brennan or Lee, getting high points and sharing it. That they'd be in the running, like you mentioned. Danny, for being more than just Mahomes. He's 3-1. He's skyrocketed up to the top of the leaderboard. But we went with our guy, Josh, who missed the draft.
Oh.
Did we mention that he missed the draft? I don't know if we've covered that. We'll go back and look at the tapes. We'll go back and look at the tapes after, but I'm thinking maybe he missed the draft. But he got it this week. And he beat, I can't remember who he beat. I think it's coming back to me.
Oh, was it a Monday night game?
It was a Monday night game.
Yeah, great game.
There was, he had a quarterback that only needed like 20-some points, but he was going up against this guy that had the number 1 kicker.
Number 1 kicker, who had scored, what'd you say? You said he had
never scored less than 11.
Never scored less than 11. Did he score less than 11 this week?
He did. He did that, what you just said. And he missed a field goal towards the end that, would have given you the lead, yet there was still time left that you would have painted what we thought. What I thought was going to happen was that field goal is going to go in. He's Carlson. He always makes them.
Yeah.
And then you get the lead, and then Herbert gets the ball back and throws a couple
of broken again.
Yeah, and gets like 30 meaningless yards, a third down, like a long third down just to ice the game, passes you up. But he ended up not even scoring hardly anymore. You would have won with that field goal. Have you thought about that?
I think so, yeah. Just let's say Carlson, I would have maybe rolled the dice. Was there anybody else out there on free agency that I could have played that would have scored enough points for me to win? Was there any other kickers out there that scored enough for me to win?
I think somebody posted something about that, and I believe there was quite a few, at least one.
Like 8 or 12.
8 or 12. Any other.
But I hadn't thought about it. No, I didn't give it a secend thought. No, it's fine.
Yeah.
I will say this. Congratulations, Josh, on being the Miller Time Team of the Week.
Go ahead.
As heartbreaking as it is to be 0-4, my team is trending in the right direction. And so I'm not giving up hope yet. I hope to have the stamina to beat off this weekend, all weekend, this weekend, and take the loser hat off. But we'll see what happens.
So there were two teams that were undefeated or hadn't won, you and Brian. And it seemed like the consensus was everybody was rooting for Brian. It sure seemed like it. There were postings and talk, everybody wanted Brian to get that first win. So he's going against me. And so when you're 0-3, you're due, right? Like that's the whole thing. If you're like in baseball, if you strike out 5 times, you're due.
Yeah.
So 2 0-3 teams were due. So it worked for Brian. He got his win over me. It was close.
So you think everybody
but for you
for me this week?
Everybody, I don't know if people were rooting for you or not, but it sure didn't help because
No.
Josh overcame the fact that you were due for a win, yet he still won. So that's why he's the team of the week.
Here's the thing: we haven't talked about this enough. Is it really Josh though?
Yeah, if you looked at those two teams that were drafted by Brennan, they're all the way at the top, 3-1, with almost the exact same number of points.
Josh has been awfully quiet in the chat.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if Brennan's not just running 2 teams.
I
would like to formally ask for an investigation. That's all I'm asking, Dave.
Okay. I'll form a caucus.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what we can come up with.
Oh, spit out my beer when you said that. So, all right, we had a Hillbilly Harrison podcast poll question of the week.
We did,
and we ended up getting 50% participation, which for being a hillbilly league,
that's a record.
Yeah, I mean it's something, right? And of everybody who posted in there or voted, there was only one person. If I go back here and look, Danny is the only one who said yes, he would change his pick. So
so when you first broached this to me, I know you had high hopes for it. And at first I thought, oh, that'll be a good thing. So then I started looking at all the number ones, and week 4 really changed a lot of things, a lot of potential. And so, the way I thought about this, the way you posted it was, all right, if you had all the same information on draft day and you're deciding who you pick, but you add these first 4 games in, would you still pick that same person, based on how many games are left in the season from now on? And when I looked at 1 through 12, I did wonder about Danny, like only because
did he pick 11? Did he have Harris?
He got Najee Harris, and so at that point, the people that hadn't, like, if everybody picked the same, you got Aaron Jones out there with a lot of points that got picked in the second round. So he could have gone with, if he redid it and not having any of the people above him as a choice, he could have. But really, Hines isn't. I mean, he's getting a lot of touches. He's getting more. If you look like what's going to happen between now and the rest of the season, now Pittsburgh offense is kind of, down. So yeah, I could see Danny picking, but I didn't up and down the first round. I was like, I don't know that anybody would change anything.
It's interesting. So you said you wouldn't.
Only because McCaffrey's injury, he wasn't on IR. He was getting so many touches. The first couple, he scored a lot of points without even scoring.
Yeah.
If he just comes back, it's a long season now. We got 17 weeks.
So, but you wouldn't be tempted to take Henry at all?
No, I think I don't. I mean, no, I think I'd still go with McCaffrey.
And I don't know if they voted or not. I'm sorry, I forgot. I got the draft picks. I forget who picked who. So who's got Devontae Adams?
Adams would be Josh.
Okay, so Brennan picked Devontae Adams right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so he's the number 17th wide receiver right now. So knowing that you could have Cooper Kupp with that pick if you wanted to, I mean, that would have been a tough pick at the time. Adam obviously knew that Stafford was going to explode out there in LA, but maybe nobody else did. So hopefully you're thinking that he's going to.
Kupp came down to earth this week. He scored under 5, I think, and Adams had that first game that was, you throw that one out because Rodgers sucked. The whole Green Bay sucked.
But
that's why I'm looking at weeks 5 through 17. You got a lot of weeks left. Adams has thrown the ball so much.
I'm thinking I believe is it Lee that's got Taylor at running back?
Yeah, and I thought hard about that one, but
that's a tough one. You know what I mean?
He's doing pretty good.
He's going to roll the dice with him for the end of the season. We talked about obviously Henry's doing great. Barkley is trending in the right direction. He started off with 2 really bad weeks. He's had 2 good weeks there. Kamara's not. Here's the interesting thing, and I'll just throw this at. We'll move off of this because it wasn't as interesting as we thought it would be.
Yeah, I thought it would be.
Nine running backs were chosen in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
Of those 9 running backs, only 3 of them are in the top 12 of their position.
Okay. Yeah.
So that just, it's only 4 weeks, so it'll be interesting to see. We talked about we'll come back and visit this after 8 weeks after we're about.
I think last year and maybe even the year before, by this point, there was a first round pick of somebody's that was out for the year.
Yeah.
Like the last year. And so that obviously those years you'd be like, yeah, I'd pick somebody different if I knew my guy was out for the year.
Yep.
But nobody's out for the year. And, with 17 weeks, chances are all 12 people are at least, maybe not all 12, but maybe 7 or 8 of them are going to miss 2 or 3 games.
Well, and now you've got, is it Patterson on your team?
Yeah.
And he's a top 5 running back right now. You know what I mean? And
if he's a running back, but yeah,
he catches a lot of passes.
He does. He's labeled as a running back. So, and I only picked him up because I had Mike Davis who was sucking.
Did you see New Orleans had a tight end that scored a touchdown on Sunday?
Never heard of him. No.
No. It's weird. They put him in at quarterback.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That's never been done before.
No, I hadn't seen it before. So, all right. So that was anticlimactic. After 4 weeks, not a whole lot's changed. We probably have some guys that here's the thing. We could never go this deep into it. I'm sure there's plenty of guys that would swap out their 3rd, 4th, or 5th round picks.
Yeah. I mean, for sure.
Yeah. So, but round 1, it'll be interesting. We'll go back
and it's what we just talked about was what a difference a week makes, because I'm sure a lot of people would have thought differently last week. You might be one of them. A couple others maybe as well. Definitely me with McCaffrey, because I didn't know at that point whether he'd be out for the year or put on IR right after week 3, like his game when he was hurt. So a lot of things could have. A couple other Hines picked up the pace a little bit. Tyreek Hill had 1 good game and then 2 duds and then another. That's kind of the way he rolls. But
but like you said, so like Cooper Kupp comes back down to earth. He's still averaging them, like he's still got the most points for any wide receiver.
Things that evened out a little bit week 4. So that ended up not being what we thought it would be, but I think only because week 4 changed a lot of things.
All right, so I'm going to turn it over to you. You said you had something that you wanted to bring to the table, and I have no idea what it is. So
it is. So
I'm a little nervous.
I thought of a segment, and I wanted to call it "Cry, Cry Again."
Okay.
It's from the phrase, if at first you don't succeed, but with the added twist of misguided loyalty. So my premise was I was going to look for the player that somebody has started all 4 weeks that has the lowest overall total points. The whole idea of just keep throwing them out there. Hope, and so that was my premise. And I was mainly thinking running backs and wide receivers. Really, even the worst quarterback would have to average 4 weeks of pretty bad.
Right. Do people start the same quarterback?
A lot of people have.
Success.
So I kind of threw quarterback out. And when I looked at it, there's, I'd almost guarantee that there's not anybody that started a quarterback all 4 weeks that's the lowest overall of anything. So they're quarterback out. And then kickers, actually, every owned kicker is scoring a lot of points. So they're not the lowest. Defenses, people switch them a lot. And anybody that started the same defense all 4 times, they've had at least 1 week where they've scored more than the person that ended up being, the lowest. So, and I wasn't really going to consider tight ends, but then I ended up, going back to tight ends, and I'll tell you why in a second. Because sometimes things backfire. I thought of this segment, and lo and behold, the cry again victim was none other than my own Allen Robinson. I started him all 4 weeks, and he currently has 20.9 points. He lowest among anybody that started somebody 4 times, running back or wide receiver. Close second was Danny's Cole Beasley, who has 21 points. So 1 yard difference. But so I thought of this segment, and I'm like, you know what, this will be good. And then it ends up pointing out how my ineptitude at whatever round I picked Allen Robinson. And yet I'll probably start him again week 5 because I'm an idiot. And I just keep thinking he's due.
So
So then I ended up looking at tight ends just because I was kind of getting some, vindication or something. And lo and behold, a couple people, Junior has started Kyle Pitts, and he's only got 18 total points all 4 weeks. Ed has started Jonnu Smith, who only has 15 points. But I don't really put tight ends, and what you want your wide receiver and running backs. If you're going to start them 4 weeks in a row, they should average more than 5 points a week. At least have one big week, and I haven't got that yet. So the cry again, victim of the week is me.
Oh man. So Allen Robinson. So Katie does a fantasy football league with her preschool, some of her preschool teachers and some of their families and stuff. So she's been in one for a few years. Both of my sons are in a fantasy football league with some of our neighbors and some of the boys that Jack plays football with. But we're on the couch, we're watching football. Katie's, kind of checking out her team or whatever. And she's frustrated, and she's like, "Isn't Allen Robinson supposed to be good?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just know he's been bad."
That's what I thought.
I was like, "I don't know. I just know he's been bad this season, right? And so she was feeling your pain.
Yeah. So the Bears game wasn't on, so I'm just looking at my phone watching all these passes go to this Mooney guy. He's got like 128 yards, and I'm like, Allen had at that point like 2. Now he finished this week with 60 something, which I was, it didn't end up helping me, but I'm like,
he may end up being the AJ Green of the Chicago Bears. Now that you've got a new quarterback coming in, he may have found his guy, and you may be hosed.
I know. So I might be. We'll see if I keep him in the lineup this week or not. If my misguided loyalty will survive another week, or if I'll hope for the best and think that this is the week. He did score against the Bengals, but that was his only catch, I think. He still. He had like 7 that week, but he had 2, so yeah, I don't know whether I'll keep him in the lineup or not. I don't have a lot of other, good options, but
yeah. All right. We got one other new segment we're going to introduce this week, and then we'll jump into just a little bit about matchups. So this is based off of a game we used to play in youth ministry, and it was like a card game that you could get or whatever, like a little book or whatever. But it was called Would You Rather. You ever remember doing these like icebreakers? You'd be like,
oh yeah.
You'd like pose somebody a question, you know what I mean?
I used to help out at this church where this dumb youth minister did it all the time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So did you get out of there?
Yeah, well, I left that. Yeah.
Oh, thank goodness. Yeah. So the premise is you propose 2 questions, and there's supposed to be it's supposed to be a hard choice, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, would you rather get kicked in the shins or poked in the eye? You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
yeah.
It's like, yeah. Okay. So, here's the first one. Okay. So we were talking about first round draft picks.
Okay.
So would you rather have your first round draft pick pan out? Okay. So like maybe it's like a Brian picked Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's doing great. Okay. Or would you rather week 1 or 2 pick up a free agent and that guy ends up being great? Okay. So like you want to pick up a free agent, Jim, or have your first round pick be a hit?
I definitely like the free agent, Jim.
Okay.
Because if you get that and your first round pick doesn't even have to be great, just decent.
Yeah.
Then you're onto something. But if you have a first round pick that, even if they're great and all your free agent pickups suck, then you're probably not going to win.
Yeah. Most teams throughout the season are going to need to pick up a free agent, right?
Yeah.
And what better feeling than when you pick that guy up and he ends up being great? I mean, it didn't end up helping me a ton last year, but I think I picked up the Minnesota wide receiver Jefferson as agent last year, and he ended up being great. Like he starter like every week after that. Like you can't take him out. And so that's always a good feeling when you're like, oh, that guy was undrafted. Like I just found him. Nobody else even grabbed him. So I think I agree with you. Although there's no worse feeling than having your first round pick be a bust.
Yeah.
Complete bust. You know what I mean? Like what? Because you feel like you wasted a pick.
But it's kind of like a good lineman is somebody you've never heard of.
Yeah.
You'd rather not, like if you you can't really win in that. If you pick a first round pick, they're supposed to be good. So it's really
Yeah.
no credit to you because you
Yep.
picked somebody, one of the 12 best players that happen to be good.
Yeah.
But if they suck, you're the worst drafter ever. And
Yeah.
so
So that was an easy one. So in the nature of like how these would you rathers are usually like both scenarios are like terrible, but
okay.
you got to choose one. Would you like to lose on Monday night by 1 or like by 2.5? Maybe
Yeah.
I've heard about somebody doing this. Okay.
Hypothetical.
Or get blown out. Okay. So would you rather be Kevin who gets lose by 1, right?
Okay.
On Monday night, you're weighted up the whole time watching that game, or be Junior, get
3
blown
weeks
out.
now.
Your game's over on Sunday afternoon by 4:30. You know you're done.
Yeah.
And
That's the Junior 3 weeks. I think all 3 of his losses, he's known really early.
before Sunday night football comes on, he knows he's done. So which would
Ooh.
because you're going to lose both of them, okay?
You lose either way.
Yes.
I still would rather lose at the end because you don't know you're going to lose until the end, but you know you've lost, like Junior.
Yeah.
I'd rather not know until the end that I'm going to lose.
All right. Yeah. Give me as much time as possible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold off the losing till the last possible.
Until that ESPN has a sliver of green.
Because there's always the chance that you can pull a Travis.
Yeah.
Go to bed on Monday night a loser and wake up on Thursday morning a winner.
Found money.
Yes. All right. Would you rather, Dave, have your starting quarterback go on IR or your number 1 running back?
Oof.
One of them's going on IR. You
Yeah.
think about that. I'm going to the fridge, all right?
You need a beer. Well, now that Kevin's gone, I want to take the time to talk about how dumb Kevin is and how bad he's doing this year because he's sucking. He's so bad. So get on there and post anything. Oh, and Kevin. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just because of how it's easier to replace a quarterback. There's theoretically, there's any given week, there's only 12 being started, and which means people don't always have. I don't have 2 on. Like some people have an extra one on their bench, but even if they do, even if everybody had 2, that's 24. There's still 8 more starters out there. Not that they're great, but any of them could have. They get enough touches where they could at least score 15. Have you ever scored 15? But probably not.
This season. No.
Whereas running back, if you don't have somebody on your bench, like, that's a plug and play ready and you need them on the waiver wire, chances are, unless you had a high waiver pick, a really high one, there's probably by the time waivers go through, you're hosed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So scarcity. That's what that'll be my answer.
Both would be bad, right?
Well, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
you wouldn't want that.
All right. And okay, so would you rather start a guy that gets you 10 or 12 4 weeks in a row? Okay, he's just average. He's just plugging along.
Yeah.
Or have that guy that gets you 40 1 week, and then the other 3 weeks he gets you nothing.
Oh, jeez. You always want to say ifs and but, like, if that 40 got you a high point win, that's $10.
Yeah.
If it didn't, then the other 3 you're probably losing those weeks because you got zeros out of the guy. 10. Oh gosh. I think I would stick with the safe route and make sure I got one guy that gets 10 every week. And that way, the whole trying to get to 95 points to 100, giving you a chance to win every week kind of thing, rather than know you're going to probably win 1 week and lose the other, the other 3.
Yeah, you like your odds. If you can find 9 guys that'll never score less than 9 or 10 points, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah, I'd take that. The volatility of the 40 to zeros is, that's not what you're looking for.
Yeah.
The high ceiling, low floor.
Yeah. So we've got some good matchups that are coming up. Like I said, if you haven't read it, go ahead and You can check that out in the write-up on the league page.
There's not a whole lot out there just yet because it's hard to do anything on a Wednesday because I don't know who's like Adam. I don't even know who's on his team right now.
Yeah.
I don't know who's starting. There's injuries that are out there. Like I heard McCaffrey had a good practice, but I don't know if he's going to play or not. So he's on my bench still, and other people have the same kind of deal with some injuries, not knowing who they're going to start for a couple days, and then not knowing who they're going to get. Defenses seem to flip flop a lot. Kickers flip flop. So it's hard to know right at this moment. You know, a whole lot about what's going on. But as far as who against who, then
we got some good matchups.
So I do like the fact that at least somebody that's coming off a high point win gets to face Rennie, and it's not, somebody that's been sucking, because somebody's got to knock this guy off, right?
Here's the thing though, like Rennie, obviously he's been good. He didn't score a lot of points last week. That's good news for everybody.
Who you play?
Yeah, but Lee's been very Jekyll and Hyde-ish.
I know.
But
I think Carr's going to bounce back.
Yeah,
he didn't get that high point because of Carr.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: Chicago may have a decent defense, but their offense won't be able to stay on the field. So,
yeah, actually, Carr cost him. He had high points until that last throw, and it tied him with Rennie.
Trying to win the game. But Austin Eckler's been amazing.
That guy. I don't know how you tackle the guy, and he always seems to get hurt, but he comes right back in.
Yeah, and both of their defense. How do these guys are facing each other? How do both of their Lee's got Tampa Bay defense going up against Miami. They're gonna put up another 20 spot. You know what I mean? That's and then Denver's playing Pittsburgh. So both their defenses got chances to score high. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. You got Aaron Rodgers versus Derek Carr. You got Eckler versus Kamara. That'll be fun. You've got Travis versus Josh.
Yeah.
So I think that that'll be interesting. Like Travis is projected to score a lot of points. He's not been winning games, but lately. But
2 weeks in a row. But I think if you read, he scored a lot of points. So it's not the lack of points.
Russell Wilson, Dalvin Cook, Cooper Kupp, that sounds like a lot of points to me.
The Kupp or the Dalvin thing is kind of, hurt him a little bit these last 2 weeks because, he gets hurt and then he's back, but is he back? And he looked good when he was in, but they didn't keep him in a lot, so that's always tough when they're kind of obviously he's good back but they kind of limited his touches. So that, and the thing is, Josh has Madison. So if they know that Cook's not going to play, then your opponent plugs in the guy's backup and does great. That's the worst.
that would hurt. Yeah. So you're going up against Ed, which is usually like having a bye week, but not this year.
No, it's no gimme. That's for certain. I got to put it out, right?
No. And Chubb's got it. You gotta hate having Chubb on your team just when those touchdowns get vultured. Cleveland's just got two really good running backs. That's tough.
Yeah. I mean, what an embarrassment of riches, those two guys.
Yeah.
Hunt would start on, maybe obviously you could McCaffrey come in. There's a handful of guys maybe he wouldn't start over, but then the list gets pretty low and it would be him,
Yeah.
So he's and he has such a different skill set than Chubb, but that although they both get their points. Yeah.
So so you're Josh Allen versus Tom Brady, and we'll see what happens. Maybe this will be the week that Waller goes off.
I could use that. I could use Mike Williams to come back to get thrown the ball a few times, and if McCaffrey's back, I feel like that's an extra 10 points.
If you start Allen Robinson.
Yeah, if I start him. But I think McCaffrey will be the key, because if I get him in there, he falls forward and gets 15 points every week, even if he doesn't score. So, and I couldn't get that out of. I started both those Atlanta guys hoping one of them would go off, and one of them did. I didn't know which one. Not that I trust Atlanta's defense, or offense, but I had to do something.
Yeah. You gotta feel like that Adam's gonna find a way to beat Danny, don't you?
I I I think he's going to play mad. Although Danny's scoring but Danny, this week and he's a little hurt because he just
Montgomery's
found
out.
himself a running back to go with Mahomes, and now he's hurt. And I don't looking on his bench, there's not an equal replacement, of getting 20 spot. And when you get 20 out of your running back and 40 out of your quarterback, that's 60 points. That beats you beats a lot of people every week.
Yeah.
So yeah, Danny's he's tough when he gets anything, help from Mahomes, because I don't know how Mahomes doesn't score 35 or more, because he just throws it. I mean, and you're getting some points out of Hilaire now. You weren't at the beginning, so I don't know. Are they passes or were they dump offs, or he's just?
Well, one of them was a shovel, so he got
Okay.
So he did. Yeah, he had a little, a 1 yard.
And they'll keep doing that. You'll get a few more of those. So yeah, Danny's he's no gimme.
Yeah, Hilaire has. I mean, he got 100 rushing yards, I think, last week, but he's got a lot of receiving yards too, just screens. So we got Brennan versus Brian. Brian's no slouch, even though he's 1-3.
Yeah, he's got a ton of points.
Kyler Murray versus Dak Prescott. Man, I never liked the quarterback running back combo. That's not one that I usually try to target. I'm actually kind of, even though he didn't work out last week, the Jefferson Cousins combo, I was like, okay, maybe I can make this work. Okay,
Yeah.
they can.
I mean, quarterback receiver,
Yeah.
but
But it's
quarterback
been working.
running back, unless it was like years of Breeze and Kamara, because it's so many dump offs and stuff. But if it's Zeke, you think it's got to be one or the other, but Zeke's getting more catches and they're doing fine. Can't fault him for that.
No, he's been making it work, and he's got Kareem Hunt, so said it's that guy's a starter on most teams. So, and then we got the great matchup against me and Junior. And here's the fun thing: one of us has to win.
And if it, so the best case, like for you, obviously, is to 1-4, but then you're both 1-4, and that's
best case for me is to win and score about 200 points this week.
Yeah, because you're gonna. I mean, it's early, but eventually, if you don't start scoring points, you're gonna run out of time to get to that 8 spot.
Yeah, I mean, last 2 weeks I've scored respectable amount of points, but those first 2 weeks put me in a hole, and then the 0-4 puts you in a hole. So, not giving up yet, but Adam did encourage me that if this whole fantasy football thing doesn't work out, I've got a future in the broadcasting booth here with you. So,
that was
That was very kind of him. It was so sweet.
Put away the computer and the fantasy. Yeah, I get. Okay, I see where he's going with that. You go to the booth, you try your hand at it. Mm-hmm. Maybe you'd be as good as Eric Dickerson.
Maybe, yeah. I was thinking more Tony Romo, but thank you for that. I mean, whatever. So I just want, if Adam would come over and hold my umbrella, like if it's raining while we're doing the podcast, then that would be helpful too. Did you see?
I saw you post. I didn't ever see the picture.
I didn't post it. Lee posted it, but
Lee. Okay. I never saw. I didn't ever see. But I'm still just beside myself that there was no Peyton and Eli this week. It's hard to watch a Monday game without them now. I missed it.
Yeah.
And then I saw an ad on ESPN. I didn't know this. There's, I loved Peyton's Places on ESPN Plus, all those shows. And I guess there's an Eli's Places. Have you watched? I haven't watched him yet.
I haven't watched one yet, but I saw that. Yeah.
He's not Peyton.
The one with Peyton and Dave Letterman is one of the.
Just priceless. Yeah, I love that stuff. So I'll give Eli's a chance, but
Eli with Peyton is pretty funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Him flipping the bird and getting in trouble. Yeah.
We haven't mentioned. So do you think that Jacksonville fires their coach before the bye week, let's say? Is Urban gone?
If they're 4-0, does anybody care? that there's a video of him other than his wife?
I would say that
And should we?
probably doesn't help things.
Should we care?
Well,
I mean,
there's been a whole lot of, one of the things that talk about like NFL coaches, like don't be a distraction, right? Like,
yeah, I
but
guess.
with the hiring of the strength coach thing, and then with the Tebow stuff, and then it's like, it just hasn't seemed like it's working. You know what I mean? And but what I heard, which I was watching McAfee yesterday, somebody else came on there and they said, I think what they're trying to do is figure out if they can get him for cause, so then they don't have to pay him.
And then there's the thought that he's trying his hardest to get fired so he can go someplace else.
USC or someplace, yeah.
Yeah. I just, at some point, why do we end up finding about everything about everybody? I get tired.
Yeah. No, I get it, where it's like that's something between him and his family, and is it? But then again, like as somebody who is a public face of an organization, like that like that stuff matters too. Yeah. Now FSS doesn't care.
No, they don't. That kind of behavior is encouraged, actually.
Yeah. So
is that behavior.
Mm-hmm. Only by Josh. I was gonna ask, what do you drink? Where's your Izzy's at tonight?
I didn't have anything. I'm all out.
Yeah.
Had a Mountain Dew.
Okay. So, well, Dave, thanks for coming on. Hope everybody liked some of the new segments. Let's recap real quick as we're jumping off here. Adam wins the Hillbilly of the Week.
Yep.
Maybe the only time he ever gets it, so we had to take advantage of it.
69 on Rennie. Don't forget that part. Yeah.
Rennie. Can't let that slide. Then we had Josh Rademacher. He's got the 2 for now. He got the Hillbilly for not showing up to the draft, but he's got the Miller Time Team of the Week.
Yeah.
Pulling off a big Monday night win over me. All right.
Yep. And
All
then
right. Then we got the
Cry Again award for starting Allen Robinson 4 weeks in a row and him having the lowest overall total points from any wide receiver or running back, almost even every tight end that's been started 4 times.
There we go. Okay, so you got that. We went through some would you rather questions. Those were fun. We talked about the poll. We had a poll question this week.
Yeah.
We'll come up with one maybe. We got 6 answers this week. Our goal will be maybe we'll get all 12 next time.
I think that's about how many people that ever voted on the flex votes too. So we never really got more than 6.
People are going to hate me, but if they don't start answering the poll question, I'm going to start sending out the group text again.
Oh.
Yeah. And everybody gets fired up. Like, why are you putting us out on regular text? And I'd be like, because you don't pay attention to the app. That's why.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for being on this week.
Yeah.
Are you traveling? You got memorial service stuff?
I'll be in Connorsville Saturday, maybe Friday night too. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's gonna be a hard weekend, but it'll be good.
Yeah. Well, we'll be thinking about you, man, and prayers for your family and your sister and just everybody involved up in Connorsville. So. But everybody have a great weekend. Hope Junior loses and
knock off Rennie. No 4-0, 5-0 teams.
Yeah,
no,
we'll all pop a bottle of champagne if Lee wins this week. So if UC can do it, Lee can do it.
Righty.
All right, man. Hey, I'll see you.
Yeah.